Shane van Gisbergen put Austin Hill into the wall at Chicagoland, hard, on lap 48, and everyone in that garage saw it one way: payback, a hook job dressed up as a racing deal. Then the penalty report landed on Tuesday, and NASCAR did nothing. No fine, no points, no suspension. And the reason was not that the replay looked innocent, because it did not. And it was not that the data came back clean, because it did not do that either. NASCAR looked at everything it had and let the 97 roll. So what did they see that the rest of us did not? And why does their answer make this no call worse, not better? Here is why this outgrows one spin at one intermediate track. NASCAR just told every driver in the field where the line actually sits, and it is nowhere near where you think. This was not some hidden tap deep in a pack. This was the sport's biggest crossover star, the road course ringer everyone fell for last year, running a rival down on a green flag lap and steering him into the fence in front of every camera in the building. If that gets waved off, the question stops being what happened at Chicagoland. The question becomes what a driver is now allowed to do, as long as he handles the aftermath a certain way. Start with what the cameras caught, because that piece nobody argues about. Coming to turn 3, Van Gisbergen's 97 Trackhouse Chevrolet caught the left rear of Austin Hill's 33, the Richard Childress car, and turned him dead into the outside wall. Hill's afternoon ended right there. He would be scored 37th. Van Gisbergen limped home 25th, so he did not even win the exchange. On the eye test alone, it did not look like a mistake. It looked like a delivery. Hill climbed out and did not bother softening it, all but daring anyone to call it an accident. But the easy story that Van Gisbergen snapped and NASCAR blinked skips the one detail that decided this. When officials finally sat down to rule, the eye test was the very thing they told you they set aside. This is where it turns, and where nearly everyone got it backward. The assumption was that NASCAR let Van Gisbergen walk because the data gave him cover, that the numbers showed a normal corner and an honest mistake. They did not. When the TNT booth pulled up the SMT telemetry after the checkered, it did not clear him. It buried him. The trace showed Van Gisbergen drove into turn 3 far deeper than he had all day before he lifted, later on the brakes that lap than on any lap around it. That is not the data of a car that got loose. That is the data of a car that arrived. Austin Hill had told you as much when he climbed out. "I'm sure you all have seen the replay," Hill said. "So if I have to explain it, people probably need to get glasses." Now the telemetry was saying it right along with him. Jamie McMurray sat in that booth staring at the same data NASCAR held, and to him the numbers pointed almost undeniably one way, and that way was intent. So the replay screams payback, the data screams payback, and still nothing happened. So what were they holding out for? And there is one more piece nobody put in the headline, the part that turns this from a temper flare into something colder. 2 weeks earlier, at the street race in San Diego, California, Austin Hill had been the one throwing the wreck. On a restart, fighting for the lead, Hill slid up into Connor Zilisch, Van Gisbergen's Trackhouse teammate, and set off a pile-up that wiped out both Trackhouse cars and gutted Van Gisbergen's day. So this was not a man losing his head in traffic. This was a man collecting a debt he had carried for 14 days. And the voice that named the motive did not come from Trackhouse. It came from Hill's own pit box. Richard Childress, Hill's team owner, the man whose car was in the wall, said it plainly on his channel. "It was just payback for California," Childress said. "Let that sink in." The victim's side was not asking whether it was deliberate. It was telling you why. Hill did not wait for a ruling to answer. After his crew gave up on the mangled 33, he rolled back onto the track under caution and drove his door straight into the side of the 97, then parked it for good. NASCAR waved that one away too. When he was pressed to defend his own hands, Hill tried to sell a tidier story, that he entered the corner normal, that everyone blocks everyone's air, that from his seat it just looked like the 97 sped up. Then his own in-car footage went public, and the spotlight swung straight back onto how Hill got into that corner to begin with. And that flicker of doubt, that maybe both drivers had a hand in it, is the exact crack NASCAR would drive a truck through. So if the replay said guilty, and the data said guilty, and the victim's own owner said guilty, how does the 97 walk? Here is the answer, and it is the whole thing. NASCAR never actually judged the wreck, it judged the silence. Van Gisbergen, the entire caution, never said one word about Hill on his radio. He talked about his car, how it was rotating, like the last 30 seconds had not happened, that nothing, that flat refusal to react, is what saved him. NASCAR's Vice President Mike Forde put the standard in the open, and once you hear it, every no call like this snaps into focus. Officials went looking, by his own account, for a smoking gun. Not a pattern, not a telemetry trace, a confession. Nothing in our eyes proved definitively this was 100% intentional and penalty-worthy, Forde said. And there it is. The bar is not what the data proves. The bar is what the driver admits. This was never about whether the evidence was clean. It never was. This was about whether Van Gisbergen would say it out loud, and he was far too sharp for that. NASCAR did not clear the hit. It cleared the man disciplined enough to keep his mouth shut. The lesson the whole garage just carried home is not that you cannot wreck a rival on purpose. It is that you can, as long as the radio never hears you enjoy it. So let us be honest about what NASCAR built here, because it dwarfs one grudge between two Chevrolet drivers. They have turned intent into a confession game. You can run a man into the fence on national television. You can have the numbers prove you drove in deeper than you had all day. You can have the rival owner announce your motive on an open channel, and none of it counts, as long as you deny the sport the one thing it demands: a driver saying the quiet part out loud. Forde all but admitted the mechanism himself, granting there was enough reasonable doubt that it never rose to a penalty for them. Reasonable doubt built on nothing but a driver's discipline to stay quiet. And Van Gisbergen, cold as ever, told you how little the man he wrecked weighs on him. Asked whether the two would talk it out, he waved it off. "I'll talk to him," Van Gisbergen said. But he just grunts. That is not regret. That is a man who knows he got away with it. So the real question was never whether the 97 wrecked the 33. It was whether NASCAR just handed the field the manual for doing it again. Do you buy the no call, or did the silence say more than any data ever could? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.